Shwmai, croeso, hello and welcome to the Bluebirds Nest, Neath yr Adair Gleision. Sponsored by DragonBet, Wales' newest bookmaker. So for all of your up-to-date Cymru Premier and all the sports betting markets, please take a look, dragonbet.co.uk. I recently visited the site myself. There's some great offers on there, particularly fond of the unlucky Butty. So when you get your stake back, if you've had a couple of minor losses along the way. So as always, though, please gamble aware, please gamble responsibly. Right then, episode 20, the first of 2023. Delighted to welcome Club Head of Coaching, Ashleigh Hopkins. Ashleigh, welcome to the Nest.
How you doing, guys? Yeah, thank you for inviting me on. Good to be here.
It's great to have you on. You were, upon your appointment back in August, I remember you were quickly snapped up by the Pure West guys for the sports show. And it was probably a couple of hours before I was just about to ask you to come on way back when in August. But we've let you have some time to settle into your role at the club. We'll come on to all of that shortly. But let's go back a few years first then, please, Ash. You grew up through the ranks as a player at Swansea City. Had the opportunity then after sort of your playing days finished to get into coaching at the Swans. Yep. But you've done a fair bit of mileage, should we say. You went to Southampton. I think it was back then to both Bristol clubs, Cheltenham, Leicester City, Chelsea, before finding the top of the tree down with us in Pembrokeshire. I haven't even mentioned the Welsh international roles there as well. So it's quite the CV you've got. How did it all come about then? Why go into coaching, Ash?
It first started off when I was in school. I went to Ulster Comprehensive in Swansea, and part of one of the GCSE modules in year 5 or whatever it was last year in school, whatever, it was like a work experience module, which we're all familiar with, and they probably still do it under a different name. But I had the opportunity to go in because I was training with the Cygnets at the time, or the Swansea Colts, which is like the under-14s, under-15 Swansea City team. And I had the opportunity to go in with Alan Curtis, who was the football development officer at the old Vetchfield. So yeah, I wrote a letter, went in, spent 2 weeks there above the club shop, and then going out to schools and within the community of Swansea. And I just kind of got the bug for it, and I could see all the enthusiasm Alan Curtis had with the kids and how they respected him, and the sessions were fun. And I just always thought, that's something I would like to do, really, to be fair. It seemed quite a good job role. A lot of the lads were going in to become postmen or welders or whatever. And I just thought, to stay in football, to put it back into the community was a big part of me, really.
Yeah, and some of the clubs that I mentioned there have obviously produced some fantastic talent over the years. I've tried to work out your timeline to see who we've sort of crossed paths with. I think I'm right. Southampton, potentially a certain Mr. Gareth Bale.
Yeah. During my time at Swansea, we didn't train on a Saturday or have any coaching sessions on a Saturday. So I used to go over the border and do a little bit of work for Southampton at their satellite centre in Bath, where Gareth Bale was in and around the last year of his sort of his program there, before he got taken on as a scholar down at Southampton. So yeah, we came across him a few times. We used to then travel down to Southampton's training ground where he used to be training full-time basis, and he used to return to our centre as well. So interesting times, great club, and how things have changed.
Yeah, well, you must have played a small part in that career he's just had. Any other household names, Ash, perhaps along the way that people watching and listening to this would recognise? Yeah,
a couple of names really. Obviously, one of our own, Jazz Richards. I coached Jazz when he was at Swansea as a youngster, and he played in my Swansea schoolboy team, where we went to play against Liverpool at Anfield and things like that, and Liberty Stadium. So Jazz was quite a nice one to have along there. Joe Allen, under 30s and the 14s teams at the Swansea Centre of Excellence. Joe Roden as well, obviously more recent kind of player. Other players like Gwion Edwards, I'm not sure if everybody's kind of heard of it, but Gwion, I think he's at Ipswich at the moment. George Lloyd at Cheltenham Town was a youngster in my youth team. Went off to play in the first team. I think he's still at Cheltenham. I haven't really followed his progress. And then David Cornell, a couple of Aussie players, Matthew Sim, you have to Google these guys now, Matthew Sim, Bailey Paxton, who obviously Australia from the Gold Coast. And then plus, players like Sam Bell at Bristol City recently scored a goal against Swansea in the FA Cup. Shame to say that, but Sam Bell and a few others, like Tommy Conway, plays for Scotland. So yeah, a couple of players along the way, which is great seeing them now. When they were 13, 14, 15, now playing in the first team or on the international front, really. So it's brilliant, yeah.
But so the glitter star-studded lineup of players being across. I think last August, then you were abroad. If I think I'm right in saying, obviously made the decision to come back to employment in Wales. What was it about the club and particularly the role as head of coaching that interested you then?
Yeah, it was certainly a different one. I was sitting in the airport coming back from Changi in Singapore, and a couple of phone calls from Rob. One of my options was to go and manage in England at a team called Cation Town, just in the Bristol area. So I was going to go in as manager of that team, but then when Rob was going through his ambitions and his desires for the team and the programme and how for West County and being back in Wales and being a bit closer to my family as well, it was the perfect choice really. And knowing like factors like Tony Pannock's there and Gary Richards, who I've worked with previously before, and the high caliber coaches as they are, it was a no-brainer really to go and work for a club like this with a sort of a chairman that's great ambitions really. Excellent.
And I think you've taken over the role and adopted a pool full of talent in Pembrokeshire. There's been a conveyor belt, I would say, for a number of years now. Those youngsters who've grown up through the academy and begin to play their senior football for the first team. And it's been a bit of a breakthrough season, I think, this year for a number of the development lads. I think the match day squads have seen a sort of one-off, I suppose, for the time being. Anyway, your John Chesters, Seth Woodhouse, Dan John. There's been probably more regular faces, your Yori Humphreys, Lucas Davis. I think the spotlight has really been, very much on Harry John's performances this year as well. It must be, you're quite proud. I know you've only been here for a number of months, but to see already the quick sort of promotion from the academy at the higher ages as well, and exciting to see that there is a clear pathway for these youngsters to come through. What's your thoughts on them, making that progress? And you must have seen those guys firsthand over the last 6 months.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's a credit to the staff that have been here before me, really, and the likes of Gary Richards, that was the predecessor, head of coaching before me, and Steve Batty and all the other academy coaches. They've done extremely hard work to develop these kids to be ready in order for Pens to pick them on a Saturday or to be around the first team. So. John Chesters, I've watched a number of development games. He's, such a good goalkeeper, decent keeper, highly rated by the legend James Devilill as well. So, Chesters is doing great for me, and it's great that he's around. Seth, I know his dad actually used to do a bit of coaching back in the day for Ian St. John. So I know his dad is a decent goalkeeper. I had to get in, otherwise he'll kill me when I see him next. Seth's a great defender. And I think long term, he's got a great future. Dan John, probably one of the fastest and athletic players I've seen at that age group. And Yori as well speaks for himself. The performances he puts in for the first team for such a young age, and he's such a nice gentleman. He's such a nice bloke as well. Yeah. Lucas and Harry, gaining Welsh colleges caps under 19s as well, which is a massive one for us. So. Yeah, it's really, really good to see them progressing. And we got numerous kids below this as well, which I won't go into all their names now as I'll be here all night. But it's at each age group, you've got some golden players, I call it, coming through. So yeah, times are looking good really for West.
Very exciting. No, I like the sound of that. And yeah, we won't individually name some of the younger ones, but what potential traits and sort of attitudes do you look for in particular? What do you see? That kid's going to go far, that player's doing well. What's the sort of package consist of?
I think for me, the main thing is the attitude of the player, and are they coachable? Do they listen? Do they listen to what you tell them? Do they go and reflect on their games? And and technically, tactically, socially, physically, yeah, we all know that. But I think, if the brain's strong and they're sort of mentally strong and their attitude's great and they want to learn and progress, that says it all for me. The kids with good attitudes and coachable, it's godsend, really.
Fab. We'll come on. We'll touch upon the sort of recruitment element and how to get involved later. But you're a person who's been around the club a lot now, and perhaps not many people know a little bit more about you and your likes and dislikes. So I got a couple of quick fire questions for you. A couple I tend to throw out to most guests on the podcast here, but a couple specific for you as well. What's your favourite TV program?
TV program, it's probably Ozark. I've got a few, to be fair. Look, the Vikings is obviously decent. Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones. That's got my kind of films or programs to go and watch. Really, bit of a Netflix lover, especially living in Singapore on your own. Netflix was brilliant. Really, to be fair to me.
I can imagine. What about music and any particular bands or genres that you prefer?
Throw me in that one. Music. I don't know, really. Just I was going to say UB40 there, but I thought I better not. It sounds dodgy, doesn't it? I don't know. Just just bit of dance music, really. But no favourite sort of artist, really. To be fair,
I got a vision of you singing in the car now on the way down to Pembrokeshire. Any, obviously, a mad, passionate sports fan or general sport. Any other sports do you enjoy playing?
I've got a pool table in the house, so I do enjoy playing pool with my kids, my triplets, and I'm very competitive. I never let them win, you know what I mean? But it's bit of pool. I don't mind pool, bit of table tennis. That's generally my sports that I like, really.
I think it's got to happen at some point, but pool and table tennis comes up, almost every episode, it seems. There's got to be sort of a Half West County pool and table tennis tournament on the card soon.
It's got to be in it. Yeah.
Well, there's some boys claiming to be the best around, so money where their mouth is, I think. If you could have a meal with anybody, then who would it be? Dead or alive? A meal with anyone?
Good one that is. I'll go male first, and I'll go Vinnie Jones. It's got to be Vinnie Jones for me. Some of his stories must be amazing at the Crazy Gang and how he progressed at other clubs. So for me, he was a bit of a head case, but I enjoyed watching him, throughout my sort of childhood and up to what he's doing now. Really, if it's a female, I'm gonna have to go Megan Fox, I'm afraid. That can't say any more about that one, but yeah, I have to go.
He speaks for himself.
Exactly.
You've stood on many a touchline and been in many dugouts. Is there a particular goal at any level, I suppose, your favourite goal you've seen live?
I was going to say Steve Torpey back in the day at Swansea City, but it doesn't sound good, is it, really? But I think I'm going to have to go with Ian Rush against Germany, 1-0. I think it was 1991, I think he may have been. And I think I was about 14 years old. So, I've got to go with that, legend as he was. And what a great goal. And playing against the best, Klinsmann and people like that. And clinging on at the end of the game, I think that was the best goal for me, yeah, definitely.
Nice, good choice. Now then, I've been looking forward to this one. It's the five-a-side dream team question, but the category I'm giving you, you can only pick coaches from within the academy. Not necessarily the best players, potentially, but who would be in your dream team of academy coaches, Ash?
I'd probably have to sit on the fence a little bit of this one because I'm going to get crucified if I don't pick them all. But I'm going to have to go with Debs. Debs in goals. The guy's bonkers, but I'm picking him not for his ability as a player, but just for his banter, his stories, and just being in and around the change room, So yeah, Debsy all the way for me. Hell of a boy. So he's a goalkeeper. Probably go for two defenders. I'll have to go Dan John, big Dan John, head of our foundation phase. Great lad. He's like a Tasmanian devil. You can't get a word in. And same again, great lads. And he will get past him. He's a big unit. And I'm sure he'd bring a few players down in the five-side pitch, Alongside him, I'll have to go Steve Batty. He does a a five-a-side course. I'm being a bit clever on this one because he's a postman. He does a lot of mileage in the days. So I'm sure he can cover the five-a-side court quite well. And, he's not a bad little player as well, to be fair to him. Midfield, I suppose, Gareth Lewis, our youth development phase head or lead. Good player back in the day. I know he still plays as well. So I've got to say that. I know he was down on the Swansea books many, many years ago as well. So, yeah, big Gareth Lewis. And then up top, I was with him last night. His boy's doing really, really well as well, Kai. So Justin Blewett, still a bit of a goal scorer down in Pembrokeshire. He plays every week, scores a goal every game, so what he says. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him. So that's my five-a-side squad. But I just want to apologise for the lads I haven't picked. No offence.
The number you could have picked, to be fair. I know particularly Richard Hughes, Dick Goes, got some career behind it himself. I wondered whether he'd make a team, but no, it's a strong five, and I can imagine it was hard to fit them all in. From my perspective, it's those names you mentioned in there. It's been great to see them at the Oggy Bridge Meadow so much this season. And alongside the children and the youngsters that they're supporting in their teams, the families, there's been real buzz around the ground. It's almost like the club is one now, is one big community. And it's that's testament to the hard work going on with yourselves and all the coaches. It's great to see. On that, there is one last chance to see the first team this coming Tuesday, the 31st of January. It's a 7:45 kickoff against Connah's Quay, who are currently second in the league. Obviously, the rearranged fixture from the postponement a couple of days ago, I should say, where we had the frozen pitch. So they're making their way down from Flintshire for Tuesday night's game. Final question for you now then, Ash, before I leave you go. I've seen across social media in the last few months, really, that the appointments that you've made within the academy staff seems to be going really well with that. What about the player recruitment then? And are there spots available for new players? And how would a player get involved, to come and join the academy teams?
Yeah, we're always looking for players. We're always looking to better our squads and to improve. So the best way, really, if they want to get involved, is to check out the website or check out social media, or come in or contact the club even, and we can send you times and dates of when you can come in and train and play. We are looking for players at the moment currently from under 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s. We have recruited some players for the under 19s recently, which I don't want to speak about too much because we got a big derby tomorrow against Carmarthen. So there's a couple of new boys playing tomorrow. There's including in that team, there's one lad that I've signed, Francesco Nico. I managed to get him a contract a few years ago at Newport County, and I've kind of followed his progress over the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and now he's coming back into Haverford. So he's one to have a little look at for our development squad. But yeah, we are looking for players, especially in our youth phase, and that's under 12s to 19s. But we also got spots available for the foundation. Matthew Fox does a great job with our pre-academy guys on a Friday night, 5 till 6. The little babies, there's 4-year-olds there, there's 5, 6-year-olds, and that's brilliant. He does a great job with them, to be fair to him. Patience of a saint, to be fair. And then we've got some other age groups and some great coaches in those phases as well. With your first point, we have brought in a couple of new staff to the academy, and we have changed around things a little bit at the start. But I think we're finding our feet. It was a great bunch of coaches. So, yeah, more than welcome to get in touch, and we'll get you on board.
Excellent. Exciting times for the future. It all sounds really good. The foundations are being laid. Ashleigh, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. You're a busy man with all the different teams to sort of support across the club. We'll be keeping an eye out for those results, particularly the big derby match this weekend. But throughout the rest of the season, good luck with it all. Hopefully, plenty more Pembrokeshire youngsters to come through to the first team over the next few seasons. And no doubt I'll see you Tuesday for that the last final phase 1 fixture against Connah's Quay. Yeah, definitely right. Appreciate you inviting me on, pal. And I'll see you in the next few days. Thanks, Ash. Have a good night. Cheers, guys.